Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Time for Advice webinar. Thank you for joining us. My name is Roland. I'm one of the founding directors of Time for Advice. And today I'm delighted to introduce Ashley Brower, who is the Regional Director of Click Dimensions for the UK and Ireland. Click Dimensions is one of our strategic integration partners, as you're probably aware. Before we start, I'd like to make a couple of housekeeping points, if I may. Firstly, given the number of delegates on this webinar, we won't be taking questions today, but if you do have any questions, then please send them to your Time for Advice account manager, and we'll follow up as soon as we possibly can. Secondly, for those that want to understand more about how Click Dimensions can help you, or to see if the system can address any specific needs that you may have, the team at Click Dimensions have very kindly offered a free one-to-one consultancy session to be booked. Again, if this is of interest, please let your account manager know, and we'll ensure that the team at Click Dimensions are in touch. Now, just to set the scene, the need for all businesses to communicate the right messages to the right people at the right time has never been more pressing, especially in times of turmoil and uncertainty as we have today. With CURO, as you're probably aware, you can easily segment your client records via multiple criteria, creating numerous marketing lists that can then be used by the native CURO Quick Campaigns capability to send emails easily, with every communication being tracked back to CURO automatically. However, for firms looking to do a little bit more, such as, for example, creating ongoing automated email campaigns, manage events super efficiently, conduct client satisfaction surveys, or even capture information about prospects directly from the company website, then a specialist digital marketing platform is needed. Now, Click Dimensions is one of the most powerful marketing automation solutions available in the world today, and it fully integrates with CURO, meaning that every marketing activity can be seamlessly captured against your clients for audit purposes, but even better, can then trigger further automation to deliver unprecedented levels of business efficiency. So, without further ado, I'm delighted to pass you over to Ashley to deep dive into the Click Dimensions solution. Ashley.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Roland. Hi, everyone. So some of you I may have spoken with previously, so if we have, great to speak with you again. What we'll do today is we will dive really into some key areas of Click Dimensions and how it works with the CRM system, and then talk about just a couple of scenarios and connect all the pieces together. But I wanted to start off in, a contact record, these people that are in your CRM system. So that's going to be your typical standard CURO people that you're used to seeing, where you're collecting, who they are, where they live, all of that good stuff. But on these exact same people in the CRM, everything on the marketing side with Click Dimensions is publishing back to that person as well. So here we could have seen, okay, we've got Kevin, and this is Kevin's email address and his phone number, and maybe how long he's been a client for, etc. But we're also able to see what emails are we sending to Kevin? What kind of communications are we sending? Is Kevin interacting with them? Is Kevin opening, clicking, maybe unsubscribing from this? Surveys, which we'll talk a bit more about today as well. So are we sending Kevin satisfaction surveys, and how does Kevin feel about working with us? All of that's coming back into the CRM. We can see if Kevin's looking around on the website, page by page, second by second. Has Kevin previously submitted form inquiries, requested a callback, requested more information, downloaded some sort of content piece? Of course, GDPR, subscription preferences, etc. Lead scoring, if Kevin's interacting with your social posts, if Kevin is attending events such as this webinar, etc. Everything is publishing back to this individual person inside of the CRM system, which is amazing because it's giving you a full 360-degree view of who is Kevin, what is Kevin being communicated with about, what's really resonating with Kevin, and you can use this information in order to better communicate with your clients. So for example, if you're sending out communications and you want to go after people who aren't that engaged because you want to get them more engaged, you want to get better relationships, or maybe you get some survey feedback that isn't so favorable and you want to jump in and see what you can do. The point is that all of this information and data is at the tip of your fingers right here in a single platform. You're not having to jump into multiple different communication platforms. You're not having to even leave your CRM system. It's all right here. Now, like I said, today we'll kind of jump around to some of the, key areas of click dimensions that, people use to communicate with their clients. And, one of those key areas is emails. Click Dimensions is a full-on email marketing tool. Whether you're creating transactional emails, you're creating, a newsletter, event announcements, etc. Maybe introducing a new client, things like that. Everything can be done, created right here in your CRM system. And today we'll kind of show you just how easy these things are. So Click Dimensions, everything that we do is no code, low code. It's very easy with all of our drag and drop interfaces, but you'll be able to create email templates, preset corporate styles, things like that, and then be able to use our user-friendly drag and drop editor. So if I want to add images, text, buttons, spacers, social sharing, social links, videos, all I'm doing is just kind of dragging and dropping. Maybe I want to change up how this looks and feels. So I want this to be 3 columns, or maybe I want to change up the column width based on my content in here. It's all really easy to do. And so you can create beautiful, perfectly branded emails just for your company with a drag and drop, and we're all working in the same single platform. So drag drop, pretty easy to use, but where this gets pretty unique is the ability to leverage the data that's in your CRM system in order to personalize these emails. So I can pull in any field that's on the contact, lead, account, record owner. So something as simple as someone's name. Great. Dear first name. Maybe I'm sending a happy birthday email and I want to reference their birthday. I could come in and grab their birthday if I'm collecting that. Maybe I want to reference, their account manager, the person that they're most familiar with, and I want to grab their record owner's details. So record owner's first name, record owner's email address, something like that. It's a really nice way for someone to feel like they're getting this email just for them when really you're sending it on a mass basis. But nice way to kind of leverage the data, take advantage of that. There's tons of cool things you can do in here in terms of building out dynamic content blocks, so different people receive different messaging. So I know a lot of you have, several locations, or maybe you want to send one particular message to a current client and then have maybe a prospective client receive a bit different messaging. It's really easy to duplicate sections, change up your content, and then you can set different content blocks. So for example, if someone's relationship type is current client, great. They're going to get this one where we're giving them customer facing messaging versus prospective client gets this. Tons of different ways to, like I said, just leverage the data that you're holding on them and make sure you're sending out the best communication possible based on the information you already hold on them. So we're sending out emails through the CRM as well. So no import export process, nothing like that. All you're doing here is you're able to create and segment lists within CURO, which is brilliant. So if you're, once again, kind of doing it by different client type or different regions or anything like that, you're creating those lists in CURO. We're never leaving CURO. You just pick the template you want, who you want it to come from, when you want it to send, and who do you want to send it to. And it's all going out from the same system. So no more wasting time importing and exporting. And then, there's tons of great reporting and analytics and everything that come back on these things. But the important part is, once again, it's coming back into your system. So you don't have to go to a third-party system in order to see how your marketing is performing. I can see right here our interaction rates, bounce rates, unsubscribes, clicks, opens. We can see if we're driving people to the website and if they're hitting the site or filling out forms or survey feedback, where they're clicking in the emails, etc. So tons of cool, exciting things in here. Once again, all publishing back onto that individual person, all publishing back in Dynamics for you to use and leverage in your typical CRM reporting efforts as well, which is pretty cool. So, like I said, all things email marketing, but we do so many other things as well outside of emails, such as maybe we want to get survey feedback from someone. We want to understand, hey, how do they feel about working with us? And, are they happy? Are they not? Because that's super important to understand what your relationship looks like with someone. And maybe if it's not going so great, it's giving them an opportunity to speak up, and then that way you can jump in before it's too late, and before they leave you all. So once again, drag and drop editor. Everything is super easy to use. This is a really flexible survey builder in the fact that there's so many different question types. So everything on the left is a different question type. Multiple pages. So I can add new pages, drag and drop different questions. We also have skip logic. So based on how someone answers a question, maybe you want to skip them to a different question. So, I always tell people, you ask someone, hey, how do you like working with us? Maybe 0 sounds negative. Once again, these are customizable to what you want, so I could change that to 1 to 10 instead. But if someone answers a 1 to a 5, that's not great. I certainly don't want my next question to them to say, well, why do you love us so much? Because clearly they're not happy, not the appropriate time to ask that. So it's nice because based on how they answer this, I could actually tailor their next question to be a little more relevant to how they're feeling at this moment. But really nice way you can put these surveys and emails. We could create some automated flows, which we'll talk about. You can put them live on your website if you want to as well, but amazing way to get this feedback, because once again, all of these surveys and feedback we are pulling back into the CRM system. We're able to see how people are answering. We're able to see how they're feeling about us. And it's all right here in Dynamics. We're not using a separate survey tool. We're not using a separate interface. We don't have a separate data set. So forms very similarly. So surveys are really about gathering feedback, how is someone feeling, or a form is more like an inquiry. So whether it's your contact us form, your newsletter sign up form, download this brochure, this is used for a lot of lead gen. So if you're really wanting to do some lead gen efforts, forms are absolutely incredible. First and foremost, drag and drop editor. So that's great. And then we can, once again, put them on the website. We can put them in an email. A lot of people will use them as like a standalone landing page if they're doing a Google ad campaign, something like that. Tons of cool things you can do here. But the point is, someone fills out this form and we're actually going to pull them into the CRM system automatically. So what it'll do is it'll look and see if they're already in your CRM. If they are, great. It won't create a duplicate or anything like that. It'll just add their form submission to that person. So if Roland comes on the site and submits 20 inquiry forms, we're not creating 20 Rolands in our CRM. But let's say Roland submits an inquiry and he's not in our CRM. This is a true net new lead, which is sometimes the point of these forms. We can actually create a brand new leader contact right there in the system. So no longer are you having to log into your website, see who filled out forms, double check that with the CRM, manually get those people over. These are just immediately integrating the forms being submitted on your website into your CRM.
Ashley, although I said there were no questions, I thought I'd just ask one because it plays into the introduction about how those components that come back against the client record or create a new record, those elements can then be used to fire workflow, for example, to automate responses. Maybe if somebody does come onto your website, creates an inquiry, clicks the button, then a workflow could fire that perhaps would then send the client a personalized brochure, for example, automatically, and then notify the team, the marketing team, of the existence of that client so they can pick up the phone to follow up. Is that fair?
Absolutely. So not only are we integrating in the form inquiries into the CRM, which will save you time and legwork, et cetera, but it also gives you the ability to take it to that next level of, okay, great, we've got them in the CRM, but what do we do with them now? And you're absolutely right. You can either, send them a personalized email autoresponder automatically saying, thanks for your inquiry, here's your brochure, or someone will be in touch shortly, or you can route them down to different points of contact to that way they can give them a call and follow up after. And you can also set these things up pretty dynamically based on how someone answers the form. Maybe you want their path to be a little bit different as well. So it's really nice because not only are you setting up those next steps and those calls to action because they've submitted a form, but you can get pretty personal with them too. And really just automating it, because a lot of marketers will say, we get all these forms, but we have a lot of lost leads in the system. And this is just to make sure that no one is lost and no one is forgotten about.
I think that's the point, isn't it? It's this fully integrated relationship between CURO and the marketing platform, because of course there are probably loads of people who are using things like MailChimp and other solutions, but they're independent of the CRM system. And so there's a lot of dual management of marketing lists and things like that, whereas this, of course, is fully integrated into that one ecosystem, which is, I think, fantastically exciting.
Exactly. And it gets everyone working on the same data set. So the same data set that sales is working on is the same data set that the marketing team is working on. And the reports are the same exact reports that, the executive team is looking at. You're absolutely right. The point is just to connect everyone in a single place and give them
Yeah,
a 360-degree view of everything going on across the organization.
perfect.
So the last kind of little area before we'll get into the more exciting things like automation and how all this, ties together, is I want to mention events. So events are pretty cool. So like the one we're on today, we have a lot of event connectors. So for webinars, it's GoToWebinar, WebEx, Zoom. For in-person events, we also have connections with Eventbrite, Cvent. So whether you're doing those in-person events again or you're doing some webinars, what's really great is anytime you create an event in one of those platforms, it's going to create that event in the CRM. So what the event is, when it is, where it is, how long it is, etc. It'll start to track the people that are registering for the event. Very similarly to forms, if they already exist in the CRM, perfect. We'll just add that they've registered for the event on their existing person. But if they are not in the CRM, we can add them in automatically as well. So once again, some lead gen efforts. And then we're tracking if people are, attending the event or if they're missing the event. So we're pulling in all registrations, all attendance, all misses. So that way you can see, hey, we ran this and got X amount of attendees and what's our attendance rate and things like that. Beautiful. So pulling all this data into the CRM, great, using all these different tools in a single area, but how does it all come together? And how do we automate this? We don't want to be constantly, running individual campaigns, or maybe after I run a campaign out to a group of people, I want to go back in and figure out what are the next steps, what are the calls to action. Well, we can actually preset that up with our campaign automation builder. So our campaign automation builder is nurture or direct marketing just taken up 1,000 notches. So this is where click dimensions especially shines, because it is one, and most important, drag and drop. So it's really easy to use. The red triggers is how someone can be entered into one of these. The blue actions are what you can do while you're here. There's some wait timers, date timers, things like that as well. But the point is that we can preset some automated flows. So let's continue on with the event scenario. So let's say we're going to run a webinar like we did today, and we're going to segment a list of people we think would be a good fit for this webinar. Hey, we're going to run this informational webinar, and we think that you would be a good match. Great. We're going to send them an email, and we're going to see, okay, hey, we're hosting this webinar coming up. Click here to register. Great. At that point, we can check if they registered. If they registered, brilliant. Maybe I put them on a marketing list for my event attendees. Maybe I want to notify the person running the webinar or the in-person event, hey, you're getting some registrations here. Maybe I want to send someone an email with some teaser content, maybe a little brochure, something like that. And then a week before, a day before, I can even send some reminder emails. These are really good for in-person events as well, if you're maybe like sending some directions and things like that. And then post-webinar, we could see if they actually attended, or post-event, I should say. Now, if they attend, maybe I want that follow-up process to be a little bit different than if they didn't. So maybe I want to send an email and ask for survey feedback, or maybe if I want to send an email asking if they want to book in a further session to discuss, etc. Great. They could get this personalized email. Versus if they don't attend, maybe I want to send them an email with a link to the recording, or maybe just say, hey, sorry, we missed you. Here's our upcoming events. Maybe here's a piece of content, etc. So that's all great if they registered here. If they didn't register here, what do we want to happen? Maybe a week later, we would like to send them a reminder email. Hey, don't forget, we've got this good webinar coming up. We really did think it would be a good fit for you. Let us know if you can make it. At that point, we could see if they registered. If they did, beautiful. This positive path where they get all those pre-event comms, et cetera, they go down that flow. If not, maybe we have left ourselves enough space here to where we can try again and see if they register at that point. So this is a really nice way to set up an automation ahead of time, have people flow down their own paths based on their own interactions. And the best part, no one is having to babysit this. No one's having to come in and say, okay, who registered for the event, who didn't? Let me send personalized emails off the back end of that. Okay, great. I've got to remember to go back in a week later and check our registrations and check, hey, do we need to email people again? You could just set this up, let it run. People will flow down their own paths based on their own interactions, and it creates a very unique experience just for them. And then you can, put some human interaction points in when you think it's appropriate. Now, what's also really great about these is I can save them as templates and recycle and reuse them. So if I'm doing an event once a month or once a week, great, let me just go and grab my typical event template. And then that way I can have that for future or for later use. So great, my event invitation. This is the one I know and love. Amazing. Now, what I also like about these is we can set goals as well, because maybe I don't know if my template was so great and amazing and if we should reuse it or change it up next time. So for example, in the event scenario, we do have registered for event or attended event. So maybe if I'm like, hey, I really want to get 100 people to register for the event and I want to get it by the end of the month. Great. That way you can start setting intentions for your campaigns and see if you match your intentions. So let's say I meet my goal of 100 people. I'm like, great, save this as a template. I'm reusing this. It works. Beautiful. Maybe if I don't reach that goal and I'm like, okay, next time I think I need one more reminder email out to people to give people another opportunity to register. I'm going to tweak my event the next, or my campaign automation the next time I run it. Great. But really nice way to track your efforts here. So that is a lot about events specifically, but there are so many other use cases that we can do for these based on kind of some of those other features that we spoke about. So for example, survey feedback I know is a big one in this space. So being able to see, hey, I want to send people a survey, and once again, maybe we want to chase them down, or maybe based on how they're answering that survey, I want to send them down different paths. This is a beautiful tool for that as well, because survey responses are sometimes pretty challenging to get. It takes a couple of nudges to get people to actually give you their feedback, and most marketers and communication specialists don't have time to chase people down for responses. So what we could do is we could say, hey, we've got a list of customers we want to send a quarterly survey to, and then we're going to send them, an email with the survey in it. And then based on how they answer the survey, maybe we want to route them down different paths. But if they don't respond to my survey, maybe I want to send that chaser reminder automatically. So there's some crazy statistic that says it takes about 4 to 5 attempts before someone will actually submit a survey. And most marketers don't have the time to go back in 4 or 5 times and compare lists of who has and hasn't filled out the survey, resend out a campaign to those non-responders. This, you could just set up a flow. But beautiful example here of, maybe I want to set up different follow-ups. So someone responds to my survey, and based on how they respond, I would like them to get a personalized follow-up. So maybe I'm basing that on how satisfied they are of working with us. So if they submit greater than 8 brilliant. We're going to give them, some special communications about, thanks so much for your feedback. We love you, valued client. Maybe if they answer middle of the road, 6 to 8, nothing to be alarmed about. Just maybe notify their account manager, hey, FYI, you're not perfect. Keep an eye on them. Make sure they continue to be happy. Versus if they answer less than a 5, maybe we need to escalate this to management. Need to reach out, see what's going on here, and see how we can turn this around. But beautiful way to send some chasers, some follow-ups, etc. While also maybe the people who are giving us feedback, they're getting this really personalized experience.
And that's really impressive, isn't it? Because in our experience, so many financial advisors manage surveys, but they do so manually via email, and then they compile the results in Excel. So it's all very manual. Same with events. They manage everything via Excel. So you've got lots of disconnected information all over the place. And I think this is really important as firms now begin to sort of grapple with the up and coming initiative Consumer Duty and the ability to demonstrate that you are engaged with your clients, you are fulfilling your service obligations, so on and so forth. If you're living in this sort of disconnected world, it becomes increasingly difficult and time consuming and risky to manage that, where of course in this fully integrated ecosystem, all of that's taken care of automatically, and that's incredible.
Yeah, and that's a really great point, especially if you are trying to, prove you're engaged with your clients or trying to prove that you have fulfilled the services that you have said that you did. Having this as auditable evidence in your CRM system, it just makes it so easy to find too. So if you ever are questioned on something, you're like, oh no, Roland filled out the survey and said that we did a beautiful job. What are you talking about? It's a great way to not have to dig into other platforms, because also so many people do spend a lot of time trying to collect survey feedback and things, but then they don't do anything with the data, or they don't leverage it at all, or they don't follow up with people based on it. And this, just setting these things up, letting them run. We work with so many marketing teams, both huge marketing teams and really, really tiny marketing teams. And everyone we speak to says they just don't have enough time in the day. And if you can automate these things, it'll give you time back. It'll make your marketing more impactful. It'll make your relationships a lot stronger with people as well. If you're able to automate what you can while you focus on what you can't, like maybe actually coming up with a strategy here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, by wrapping it all up in this fully connected world, the time saving is enormous, and therefore it becomes very easy to build a return on investment argument, doesn't it, Ashley?
A
What is the
thousand
value of time?
1,000%. And that's usually what we tell people as well is, think about the amount of time that you spend either importing and exporting, lists on a weekly basis, or think about the amount of time that you spend on, a lot of people will send an email and then they'll go back and get a manual list of opens and clicks, and then they'll segment that and then they'll send it on to maybe a sales team or something like that. If you start to think about those or the amount of time you spend grabbing the form data from your website and trying to filter that through, if you think about the amount of time you spend doing these things manually, when these are just very little things that Click Dimensions can help with, then it frees up a lot of time to focus on maybe some of these big picture projects, and it'll give you more time back to do more with your marketing.
Totally. Very interesting.
Yeah. So the last little scenario that I definitely want to touch on as well is the one kind of Roland was mentioning a little bit ago about the forums on the website, because these are super important. So great, we now know that we can pull the form inquiries into the website or into the CRM from the website. And then, like I said, you can set up some next steps, some calls to action, make sure these leads do not go unnoticed. So maybe I send them an automatic email when they submit the form. Thank you so much for your inquiry, or here's your piece of content. Maybe I want to put them on a prospective client list or a hot list of some sort. Maybe I want to notify sales. Perfect. Now this that I'm building is a linear approach, but once again, I can also build it out to where how they answered the form sends different paths. So maybe you have a form and it's, asking, why are you submitting this form? Is it a complaint? Is it a inquiry? Is it a, general question? Whatever it may be, I could set up different paths, like, thanks so much for that. Here's the appropriate team to be looped in. Great. Maybe it's geography, maybe it's type of service. It's a really nice way to, once again, just based on how someone submits this form, create this personalized, automated follow-up experience.
Fantastic.
Now, there's so much going on with Click Dimensions. I know, there's a lot more features and elements here that we definitely won't get time to see today, but it all does certainly come together in a calendar view as well. So don't ever feel like, oh, wow, if we're sending out all of this, how would we have an idea of, everything working together and what we're actually executing? Because this calendar view is beautiful. You can filter it by the different activities. Or if I'm looking at this and I'm like, November, we have, been decently active, but we have nothing going on for the rest of November. Maybe that's my strategy. I've been marketing really hard. I'm going to, take a little break before we hit December again. Or maybe I'm like, oh, whoa, I see I have an event next week and I have no follow-ups afterwards. This is not what we're intending to do by any means. It's a really nice way to see exactly what you're scheduling and executing and making sure that it's matching your intended strategy. So yeah, that's a very high level overview of Click Dimensions. It's in general just a really good communications tool. So maybe we didn't touch on your specific scenario today, or the way that your team works. So as Roland mentioned, get with your Time for Advice account manager, and we would love to set up a more personalized session with you to kind of chat through your marketing needs, your communication needs, your scenarios, your use cases. But hopefully today it gave you a little bit of flavor of how impactful having an integrated marketing tool with your CRM system can be in terms of insight, time saving, resource saving, and just overall ease of use.
Fantastic. Ashley, thank you. That was really interesting. And, from our perspective, I mean, one of the mantras, of course, when you talk tech, it's, do you eat your own dog food? And of course, we use Click Dimensions at Time for Advice, and we love it. The capability that the system enables us to execute and then to manage through. I mean, we're still novices, we're still learning, and we've been enjoying the training sessions that we've been doing with you guys at Click. But, the potential is extraordinary. And I think the key takeaway, apart from all of the automation, the ability to connect your business as never before, is the fact that everything is in that one place, that single ecosystem where everything is connected, everything is measurable, everything is bound back to the client record. So you have a complete audit of everything that's going on. And that, to me, answers so many of the challenges our industry is facing today, especially, the regulator and the risks that come of potentially non-compliance and an inability to demonstrate that you are doing what you said you're going to be doing and that your clients are paying you for. So, Ashley, thank you very much indeed. That was really great. I learned a lot there, so appreciate that. And again, everybody else, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed that and found that beneficial. Again, if you'd like that one-to-one follow-up, please do contact your Time for Advice account manager, and we'll make sure that all of the interest is registered with the guys at Click who'll be in touch. So thank you once again for joining us today. And Ashley, again, thank you for your time. That's been really good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.